mirrors. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 1 in this best of 3 between Hera and DeMuslim. It is going to be the round of 32s of EGC Winter Championships. Two absolutely juggernaut players coming in here, and we have a Mongol mirrors. Up north is Hera playing as the blue Mongols, and down south we're also going to have Mongols for DeMuslim in red. We're playing on the January patch, and with me is Mitoe. Can you talk us through the major changes that affected Mongols here, and how that's going to affect this battle here in ahead of us?
Yeah, the two changes we got to Mongols were they have the 50 less starting wood at the beginning of the game. So it's down to 150, so they can still build their Ovu right away. But it's going to be a little bit harder for them to if they want to build a barracks or a stable or anything like that at the beginning. The tower cost has also been increased from 70 wood to 100 wood. And overall, I mean, it's a mirror, so it's not going to impact the fairness of the game or anything like that, but it is going to mean that if players want to really like spread out their like YAM network aura and stuff like that, it's going to be a little bit harder, a bit more expensive, and they're going to have to definitely be a little bit more intentional about it.
Exactly, as you said, the tower becoming more expensive for the Mongols reduces the amount of tower rushes that we'll have. Up north, you're going to have the Ovu up already for Hera, quite close to that gold mine. He's moving out for that gold mine with a girl right now. And down south for the Muslim, his town center spot is actually pretty convenient, right next to the forest and the berries on the other side. And he is going to place a stable right next to that Ovu. As we discussed, because the Mongols start with less food, you can't go for a stable as early as you could before the January patch, but you can still put up some early aggression. And given the fact that that Ovu is quite exposed for Hera, we could see some scouts attempting to burn it down.
Yeah, that seems like could be the play for DeMuslim here. Hera, on the other hand, just going to be trying to age up, so he's not going to have units to defend against those early torches so much. And if he can deny the Ovu position, the next stone mine is pretty far away. And if Hera doesn't get that double production very early, things could be problematic for him. So we'll see if DeMuslim can get there early enough and do enough damage. Maybe deny the buildings from getting there, but likely not going to be too much of a problem for Hera. He can always build those buildings closer to his town center and then pack them up and roll them over, so it's not like these scouts are going to be able to like harass a villager as they build it next to the Ovu or anything like that.
And we're seeing DeMuslim coming in with a pasture. This is something that you see more and more from Mongol players, because pastures right next to those Ovus will train the sheep a little faster, so that's going to be a nice little extra amount of sheep to work with, especially given the fact that DeMuslim doesn't have a ton of sheep underneath his town center. He's got 2 scouts already moving out to the left side, no additional scouts coming in, and look at what Hera is doing. He's killing that poor sheep out there, knowing that DeMuslim needs to get it back to the town center. Oh boy, that's going to be annoying for the Muslim out here. Hera also leaves the scouting falcon behind to see what the Muslim is up to. 2 scouts are now coming in for the Muslim. Might be able to kill the one from Hera.
Yeah, that was a nice pickup for Hera for sure. And yeah, it looks like this scout could eventually die to this Khan, and that would be a pretty good denial of information for DeMuslim. Of course, Hera will still have his Khan, so it's not going to be the end of the world. But always good to get any small advantage that you can.
And speaking of small advantage, Hera made that second scout with the town center, so he had that up for a long time, and if you look at how much sheep he managed to gather underneath his town center, as compared to what the Muslim has, which is basically none, then that's a great start for Hera. Scouts are now moving in from the Muslim to try and harass those gold miners, but with the stable up for Hera, he could just make 2 scouts himself and fight this one off. Hera is in a great spot right now, already going up to Feudal Age with the Deer Stones, and has a ton of food underneath his town center. As compared to the Muslim, who really doesn't have much. He's got a couple of carcasses on the right side, but it's minimal amount of food underneath that TC.
Yeah, that sheep advantage is huge for sure. I mean, he is going to be down a villager for that, so it's not like it's for free, but it's definitely going to be annoying for DeMuslim, as I don't think this one pasture is going to be able to sustain all of his food income by itself, so he's probably going to need a second pasture in here or something. And that investment might be enough to give Hera a small advantage in early Feudal Age. He's also going to be getting to Feudal Age a little bit faster, right? So definitely some things going his way.
And considering that the Muslim already has 4 scouts out here, Hera knows he can't fight that off with just 2 scouts. Instead, he goes for the early horsemen, a unit that also got buffed in the January patch, so you will see 2 ranged armor for them once they get to Feudal Age and you upgrade them to standard horsemen. For now, Hera is going to be more than fine just getting a couple of those horsemen out. But having the Feudal Age horsemen buffed also means that it's a lot more legitimate for Mongols to start massing horsemen as they go up to Feudal Age, because the unit that they will have when they upgrade them to standard horsemen will be a lot more powerful than it used to be.
Yep, that's true, and these horsemen could end up being more useful than these scouts for sure. A more useful investment. Like, these scouts really aren't going to have much to do at this point. With all the villagers kind of safely underneath Hera's town center, maybe he could go for professional scouts or something, but in that case, like, Hera's horsemen are going to be pretty good at denying them, and yeah, so we'll have to see what he chooses to do about that horseman advantage for Hera. Looks like he's going to be training horsemen himself to get started.
That is definitely one way to do things, but of course, he's already behind quite a bit when it comes to the horseman numbers, so he might be forced to add a couple of spearmen. He's also a little late going into Feudal Age compared to Hera. Hera going for some additional horsemen before popping that upgrade. And on the other side, as things stand, the Muslim not coming out with a ton of army. So far, it really seems like Hera's just going to try and deny the huntables from the opponent, because when you have 4 scouts out there, as we said before, professional scouts is an option for the Muslim.
Yeah, and he's had to invest in a couple of towers at home, just getting that Yam network aura, but also because he feels that he maybe has to be a little bit on the defensive as Hera has the initiative in early Feudal Age here. It looks like, yeah, he's just going to use those scouts to go around and try and hit the Ovu while the horsemen are away, but yeah, this investment is pretty passive from DeMuslim, and Hera definitely has an opportunity to do something here. Getting a villager kill, really nice.
That was a great villager kill there, and now the horsemen are doing work. Of course, having that extra ranged armor also means the Khan is struggling a lot more against those horsemen, and you see mass horsemen working out like wonders here for Hera. I said that before this game, that Hera is known as a cavalry player. Especially in team games, he always picks the cavalry role, but in general, he loves to use his mobility advantage, and he's able to see those windows to do damage with the cavalry so well. And right now, that full scouts play is just playing into his hands. And the biggest problem right now for the Muslim is that he doesn't have a single spearman out there. There's a chance that this entire position here for the Muslim could get burned down once those extra horsemen arrive.
Yeah, picking off a couple scouts here. And yeah, Hera's really looking to be in a great position. You even saw earlier, like, that the extra pierce armor on the horseman, like, he's not too afraid of the towers anymore. They don't do nearly enough, or nearly as much damage to horsemen to be super worried about it. So, yeah, looking pretty good for him. I wonder if DeMuslim will have to drop down a barracks. It feels like he probably has to at this point, but so far it looks like he's maybe just macroing to age, and I'm not sure that he has really the defenses set up to be able to do that.
Yep. Currently he's at 800 food, 400 gold, so he's getting closer, and once he gets there, Lancers could do a lot of things, but keep in mind that Hera, every single building he burns down, he's going to get resources for it. So for Hera, setting the tower on fire and now potentially taking down the pasture, which is something that's pretty easy to kill when it's running away like that, that's going to be a ton of extra resources for Hera, and we're already seeing the pastures going down, the scouts are going down, the Khan of Hera goes down to the scouts of the Muslims, so there is some retaliation there, but I really feel like what Hera needs to do is just leverage the fact that he can burn down the buildings for resources, and if you look at the resources, it's pretty much even, despite the fact that Hera is investing a lot more into his army.
Yeah, things are looking really good for Hera. Killing that pasture and forcing them away from the Ovu, it's because they're twice as fast near the Ovu. It's almost like he killed 3 pastures there. And DeMuslim's going to be in big trouble on food in a second. He's going to lose this Ovu. Hera's going to keep collecting that raid bounty. And things are looking very tough for him. But he does have the resources to... Or sorry, Hera's actually got the resources to click up to Castle Age.
Yep. The Muslim also has it.
Yeah,
He's
he's
going up.
also aging, but yeah, I mean, just the raid bounty resources giving him the extra resources to age up at almost the same time, and yeah, this is just looking very difficult for DeMuslim. He's gonna have to find some way to get himself back into this.
And it's gonna be difficult. One thing that he hasn't used up yet is his stone, so if he had access to that Ovu, he could just make double Lancers, whereas Hera doesn't have a ton of stone, so it would be more difficult for Hera to continuously produce Lancers with the double training. But given the fact that that Ovu is currently inaccessible, you will have to relocate your entire batch of buildings to the left side, and it's going to take some time that Hera could utilize to get some kills on Goldmine. Hera was quite late to Castle Age here. He had the resources for a long time, but he is just halfway up. But he's likely going to just continue with the cavalry play for the time being. The Muslim is only on the back foot, so I feel like if Hera just keeps up the pressure, he's going to be in a great position. He also has access to the hunt, so his food eco is looking much better, whereas for the Muslim, he has to just go for the pastures and the berries, and that's it.
Yeah, it's looking tough. Both players going up with that steppered out, and we'll see what they choose to spend that gold on. Yeah, just two stables from Hera, not interested in an archery range or a barracks at that point. Two stables from DeMuslim as well. Interesting to see that no one is going for that infantry siege play that we've seen a lot out of Mongols recently, and just sticking with the cavalry here. Maybe DeMuslim is feeling like he was going to get to Castle Age sooner. Maybe didn't realize how close Hera was to aging, and he was thinking, yeah, I can get those knights out, I'll get the mobility, maybe it can apply some counter pressure before Hera can age, but maybe Hera being up so quickly behind him is going to surprise him, and the stables aren't going to work out as well.
Yeah, that is 100% the case, I believe. On the bright side of things for him, he hasn't used up his stone to make horsemen, which means that he can do double training for a long time. Whereas for Hera, as you see, his knights or lancers are coming out in batches of just one. So numbers advantage on the lancer side will be in the favor of the Muslim for the time being. But of course, as we go deeper and deeper into the game, the fact that the Muslim's food eco isn't as good as Hera's one is also going to start showing. Hera in general has a slightly better eco than his opponent at this point.
Yep, and doing a good job of staying active with his units. He's definitely recognized that he has the advantage. He's going to be splitting off those horsemen, trying to hit that gold mine with the steppered out on the south as the knights skirmish in the middle. And, ooh, right, going to catch him right as he's going for a hunt as well.
Exactly. As you see in the middle, the numbers advantage are on the side of the Muslim, but it doesn't really matter if your villagers are getting slaughtered on the right side. That's probably the worst possible timing for the Muslim. He's very unlucky moving out for that hunt. Even if he wasn't on the hunt, the gold miners would have been exposed, but at least the gold miners have a tower on them. And as you said, with that 2 ranged armor for the horsemen, they will care about the tower fire way less than they used to. I don't see a single dead body though, so it is apparently not going to be that many dead villagers, but never mind. It just took some time for them to start killing villagers, because now that's going to be 4 down, and you mentioned this before the set. In a mirror matchup, every single small detail matters. Losing 4 villagers like that is a disaster for a Mongol mirror. Currently it's 42 vills for Hera, and the Muslim is at 38.
Yeah, 4 villagers is definitely going to be a big advantage here. And yeah, even just all the idle time, forcing him away from the gold mine, forcing him away from the hunt, especially that gold mine with the steppered out, like those villagers being much stronger in that position. Like, getting all that idle time is massive. But yeah, we've got a skirmish in here. It looks like DeMuslim actually might have more units here. He might be able to actually hold this, but he'll still be a little bit on the back foot economically.
At this point, Hera doesn't need to overextend. For now, he's going to pull his forces back. He should know that he's in a good position. He saw that the Muslim wanted to move out for that hunt. The Muslim didn't move to the hunt for the left side, which is something that he could still do, because he's running out of food underneath his town center really fast. Whereas for Hera, he's really leveraging that map control well, so having that extra hunt helps a lot for him. But for now, the knight numbers are still on the side of the Muslim, so Hera is getting forced back temporarily.
Yeah, and this hunt is exposed. DeMuslim might be able to actually get onto it if he recognizes that the vills are out there. But so far, it looks like he's not realized that that might be a bit exposed, and Hera's caught up in the knight count anyway, and DeMuslim's definitely going to be forced to retreat here.
Yep, the Muslim had a lot of battered knights out there, so while the numbers were on his side, many of those units were much weaker, and Hera's got full HP knights. Speed arrow will be popped by the Muslim's Khan to try and pull away the forces. Hera also popped his own speed arrow, so he's going to pursue, trying to finish off those low HP Lancers here, because really those are the value targets that you're looking for, just being able to grind down those Lancer numbers before they can turn back and charge, because one thing that the low HP Lancer can still do is deliver one big punch with that charge before going down. So being able to take down 2 enemy Lancers as they retreat is pretty valuable here for Hera. Overall, 22 kills, 22 losses on both players' sides, but you get the feel that Hera was able to kill a lot more value than what he lost.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, he's looking to take a pretty big lead at this point. He's got more knights out. His economy is slightly better. Going to be rebuilding that Ovu on the right. Not relocating any of those buildings just yet. Yeah, looking to be in a really good spot. DeMuslim's not out yet, for sure. He's still got the units. He's still got access to his resources for now, and Hera's not pushing the issue. Looks like he's going for a raid himself, but Hera's spotted that, and going to be forced to just back on out.
And now the knight numbers are looking way better for Hera. On the battlefield, we currently have 13 army for the Muslim, and on the other side, Hera's got 20, so suddenly those knight numbers are looking quite concerning for the Muslim, and his hunters are just as exposed as the ones from Hera. Couple of knights from the Muslim coming into raid, but those will be picked off, and once again, slowly but surely, Hera is taking down some retreating forces of the Muslim, and that is just adding on to that lead that Hera already has, and he's about to hit that food eco. This could be a disaster, because the Horsemen didn't have that much damage output, the Lancers will.
Yeah, this looks like potentially a catastrophe. There is a Spring Eldon placement on that tower. It's going to help him a little bit, but there's a couple knights in the back that really need to be joining into the fight here, but he's too distracted on microing to realize that they're not in the fight. And, yeah, a little bit too late to join. He might have been able to hold that, but he's going to be forced to back off, and Hera's just going to go ham on these villagers.
Are you surprised that he didn't actually charge in there? Because it really felt like he could have just gone and killed every single one of them and then trade off the rest of the knights. Hera wants to play this one safely. He knows exactly that his opponent's already on the back foot, and he doesn't really want to risk anything here, but it could have gone for way more value here. Looks like the knights will trade off against each other. The Muslim might even be able to win this fight as things stand.
Yeah, it's looking okay for him. At the end of the day, looks like maybe Hera's coming out on top, and now the reinforcements coming in. And yeah, maybe just waiting for those reinforcements to really push the issue on those villagers. And yeah, the Muslim's going to be forced to abandon that hunt, and potentially this gold mine as well. But no, Hera not feeling confident enough to push in there just yet. Just going to bide his time, make sure he's playing patiently. Yeah, he really doesn't need to.
Also worth noting is that the other gold mine is very exposed here, so this is a very important part of the map right now for the Muslim. You have the hunt here, you have an additional gold mine to work with, and Hera knows that as well. He's probably looking to grab some more Lancers before he charges into that, but so far he's playing pretty safely, pretty cautiously as well. He's got 4 stables worth of production. The other side, you also have 4 stables for the Muslim, but now it's actually 5, so the Muslim is slowly getting his numbers up as well. 18 for Hera versus 12 for the Muslim, plus of course the Spring Old Tower, as you said before.
Yeah, the Muslim's hanging on here. Yeah, Hera's just going to bide his time, wait for that mass to grow, wait for his economic advantage to really start paying off, and then I imagine he'll push the issue pretty soon. Starting to also get those towers going. I'm surprised that Hera's not getting any towers going himself on the map, as those are going to give them a lot more vision. The cavalry is going to be a lot faster when maneuvering through those areas. Although at this point, maybe that part of the map just isn't really relevant to what's going on in the game at the moment, as both Hera and DeMuslim are focused on these resources on the southern part of the map.
It is 13 Lancers versus 18, and we get some towers coming in here, but oh boy, that's going to be troublesome for the Muslim out here, because if Lancer sees that, he can just kill 3 villagers here, but it looks like Hera didn't even notice what's going on. As you said, they're both very focused on this side of the map, so everything else that's going on the map is going to go unnoticed, although once again, 3 villagers getting killed here is going to be value for Hera. Once again, widening that villager gap. Finally, the Lancers will charge into each other in the middle. The con of Hera was a little bit mispositioned, that he just now popped his defense arrow, but Hera's knight numbers seem to be a little bit better right now, and the Muslim is on the retreat.
Yeah, it feels like it's only a matter of time before Hera can push his advantage here. It's gonna try and DeMuslim's gonna try and stick with the fight here with the tower there, at least keep the tower alive and dealing damage for a little bit longer, while trying to minimize losses himself. But yeah, DeMuslim's still got to find an angle that can get him back into this game, and taking these fights just feels like it's not productive for him. He's got less knights, but with the outpost, he's going to take his chances, and looks like Hera's still got enough numbers here to force him back, even while 4 knights don't even join in the fight and just siege down the tower.
And that tower being burnt down will also give some extra resources for Hera over here. So really, losing that tower is painful for the Muslim for multiple reasons. Hera gets resources from there. He lost a bunch of wood in there. And there is also 3 villagers that go down. So, as you said, the Muslim currently just can't afford to trade evenly with those knights, because he's behind in terms of economy. It's 61 villagers compared to 53. So, there's a considerable eco deficit. And as the saying goes, if both of you are doing the exact same thing, but someone does it better, that player is going to win.
Yeah, it feels like DeMuslim needs to try and do something different here. He needs to be like sending 1 or 2 knights to go raid and just distract Hera. Maybe he needs to drop some barracks or something. But at this point, I guess he's just under too much pressure. He can't afford to abandon these villagers with even a single unit. And yeah, Hera just pushing in right under the tower. He's got the unit's advantage, and the villagers are exposed, and it seems like this game might not be going on for too much longer.
And Hera now turns back. I love that move. He was so focused on killing the Muslims' army for a long time, and he was basically ignoring villagers. He could have gotten way more villager kills before, but now he's finally jumping on those vills. Quite a few towers out there, though, so given the circumstances, the Muslim actually has a pretty decent survival rate on those villagers. I think like 5 or 6 of them went down, but given how outnumbered he was in terms of knight numbers, that's actually pretty good. But, of course, this cuts off the Muslim from any kind of gold income, so now replenishing those Lancers is just not an option anymore.
Yeah, it's looking dire for him. Hera's not going to commit too hard. The only way he could really lose in this position is if he just loses all those knights randomly under these towers. So he's like, yeah, I did enough damage, just back off again for another minute or 2. He's going to struggle to reinforce, I'm not, and then going to push in, try and go for the kill, potentially.
And Hera's going for a second town center, so he knows exactly he has an existing lead. He doesn't need to commit all of his resources into an army and just build up that lead even further. 64 to 42 is the villager count already. At the second town center, he could widen that villager gap even more, charges in once again with the Lancers, and he consistently has the numbers advantage, which just pushes the Muslim even deeper into that proverbial pit, because as things stand, the Muslim is just so much on the back foot that this might be impossible to come back from.
Yeah, there's just villagers dying every single fight. The reinforcements are getting harder and harder to produce for DeMuslim, and yeah, just so many villagers going down in this second raid. They're not even going to make it to that second tower. And yeah, I mean, 25 villagers is not what you want to see, especially in a mirror matchup. Yeah, Hera doing a great job of consolidating that lead with the second town center and making great use of these knights. And now going to be forcing the vills away from that step redoubt. And yeah, that's going to be the game.
Great show of force here by Hera, and really, this came down to that first couple of minutes where Hera was able to get so much out of those horsemen. The Muslim basically wanted to play this fast castle-style approach, put up some aggression with the scouts, but then go into Castle Age. But that's where Hera's horsemen came into play, being able to get a decent amount of them on the field, force back those scouts, and then, because of that extra pierce armor, extra ranged armor on those horsemen, it was much more difficult for the Muslim to just protect that Ovu and his pastures, the stables, with just a defensive tower. So ultimately, Hera was able to burn down multiple buildings, and that bounty that you're getting for burning down buildings from Mongols is immensely impactful early game. Late game, being able to burn down a building for 50 food and gold, not so impactful because you have a powerful economy. But in early game, 50 food and 50 gold especially is just a lot. Like, Hera burned down 3 or 4 buildings there. That's 200 gold, 1/3 of what you need for Castle Age here. So that's the reason why he could catch up to Castle Age compared to the Muslim. And from that point on, he was able to play from a villager advantage position. in this entire game, there was never a moment where the Muslim had a villager lead. Oh, aside from the fact that Hera opened with an extra scout, so yeah, he had one villager lead for some time, but really, once fighting broke out, the villager lead was always on the side of Hera.
Yeah, for sure. Just really, really well played by him. Um, as you said, just very, very well executed aggression, getting that extra raid bounty and stuff really paying off for him. And it really just felt like they were both doing the same thing. And DeMuslim must have known he was behind after that raid where he lost 4 villagers, but he just didn't change up his plan. He didn't take any risks with his knights trying to go for raids or anything. He didn't maybe try and add spearmen to try and change up the composition, and just ended up playing right into Hera.
With that being said, we're jumping into game number 2 here. On the right side, we'll have Hera playing as the Holy Roman Empire in blue, and on the left, we'll also have Holy Roman Empire for the Muslim in red. The map is Hill and Dale, the first home map of the Muslim here. And looking at the resource spawns, I have to say, both players will have a tough time accessing their big gold mines, but Hera's got one of his small gold mines also heavily exposed, so probably a slightly better map here for the Muslim. What do you think?
Yeah, the forward gold is definitely going to be a bit tricky, but I mean, at the same time, it's not too big of a deal as you can kind of easily wall that part of the map at the stage of the game that you want to take it. So the choke points just make it really easy to defend. So probably not going to be too big of a deal for either of these players here.
Relic distribution very, very even over here. You got 2 on the side of the Muslim, 2 rather close to the base of Hera, and 1 sort of in neutral ground, slightly closer to Hera. On the other side, we also have to mention that most of the forests on this map are down south here. The northern side is completely barren. It mostly has just gold and stone, but basically no choppable trees out here. Hera on the gold with 2 villagers, both of them being blessed by the prelate. And on the other side, only 1 villager for now for the Muslim. He has most of his villagers on food. He's blessing them with the prelate. So, as you said, before game number 1, mirror matchups are all about small details. In this one, that's probably going to come down to how many relics you can get into your Regnitz Cathedral and how fast you can get your Palace of Shvabi up.
Yeah, definitely. Very likely that both players just choose to go for a fast castle here and try to grab those relics as fast as possible. But it's not impossible that we see some players try to stick it out in Feudal Age a little bit. Maybe try to deny relics from someone as they're sending out those prelates very early in Castle Age, and then maybe try and do something from there. With the early Spearman Brace, Feudal Age Spearmen don't do that badly against knights in early Castle Age, so it's definitely an option as well.
The first deviation in the 2 build orders is that Hera has added a second scout, and I mean, the value is 100% there. Just look at the amount of sheep he managed to collect. He's got 8 following 1 scout, an additional 4 following the other, and, well, his town center is almost out of sheep, but that's still like 12 to work with, whereas if you compare it to the Muslim, he's only got 5. So, really, Hera's gonna have the advantage on the sheep department, and that's a pretty massive factor because, obviously, especially if you don't go for professional scouts at the Holy Roman Empire, your food eco is going to be centered around those sheep, and having the shepherds boosted by the prelate. I also love how Hera is triggering the wolves, because those wolves will be able to attack your prelates, and the prelates can't fight back. So if you trigger the wolves and potentially lure them back to your town center, get them killed, it makes it easier for your prelates to access those relics. And it seems like, oh, Hera changed his mind on the placement of the Aachen Chapel. He's probably trying to place it closer to his town center so he can cover all the shepherds. And yeah, that's gonna be perfect. Aachen Chapel spot, covering basically all key resource gatherers for Hera. For the Muslim, pretty much the same scenario, so very nice Aachen Chapel placements for both. Hera building it with 4, the Muslim only with 2? No, it's now 5.
It looks like 4 as well, yeah.
Yep, it looks like 4. 2 villagers were just hiding behind and I didn't see them, but yep. Should be pretty close Feudal Age times as well for the 2 players, although the Muslim seems to have the upper hand by a tiny bit, probably because Hera deleted his Aachen Chapel and replaced it.
Also because of the second scout, right? So the second scout's gotten him a lot of extra sheep, but he wasn't necessarily gathering as many resources in the early games. Maybe that was a couple seconds there that DeMuslim might have got. But yeah, I mean, really beautiful Aachen Chapel placements for both players. But yeah, the thing about the Aachen Chapel in this situation is it doesn't cover the player's hunts, and DeMuslim's going to have to go to that hunt quite a bit earlier than Hera, who can just leave all these extra sheep that he has underneath his town center. So at least thankfully for DeMuslim, he does actually have hunts close to his base this time, so he's not going to be forced into exposing his villagers too much. But yeah, I mean, having those hunts in the Aachen Chapel or having less sheep in the Aachen Chapel is definitely going to play a factor at some point here.
That's indeed the case, and considering how close those huntables are, but still outside the range of the Aachen Chapel, probably the most reasonable thing to do here would be just to make a mill and make a second prelate, because really, at this point, grabbing professional scouts just for that doesn't really make a ton of sense, and you really don't want to gather them outside the range of the Aachen Chapel or outside the boosting radius of a prelate, so your best option might be to just add a second prelate over here. Meanwhile, on the other side, Hera is probably really happy about those extra sheep that he has gotten, and he's grabbing a stable here, so we're likely going to see some scouts coming in here for him for professional scouts, because a mill and a stable placed at this time of the day seems like a professional scout's build for me, but he's a little low on gold for that.
Yeah, that does seem plausible. So he's not going to go for a straight fast castle or anything. He's going to make sure that he has some units to harass a little bit, or maybe even to control the relics. Looks like DeMuslim's doing something similar, but with a barracks instead of a stable. So probably going to be seeing some spearmen or men-at-arms from him.
Well, he kind of needs a couple of spearmen over here to fight off the scouts here. And look at what DeMuslim is doing. He's pushing in the deer.
Oh, that's
This is
smart.
something that you can do, and he pushed it into the radius of the Aachen Chapel. That's beautiful. But behind this one, Hera's micro with the animation canceling is also there, and he has been harassing those villagers for a long time. Not a single kill on those, but many of them are now very weak, and a ton of idle time was forced. Ultimately, a mill is going to be placed over here, and you see, it's actually a clever idea to make the mill here, because the villagers will be gathering within the range of the Aachen Chapel, so they don't need to be always influenced. They just need to walk into the range, get blessed, and then they can walk out and gather the hunt.
Yeah, that's right. He's doing a very good job of pushing him into range of the Aachen Chapel. And I mean, it's not for free. He is giving up some scouting time to do this, but it is going to pay off in terms of resources. He's not going to have to invest in that extra prelate. And the Aachen Chapel is just so much more efficient than a prelate anyway. So, yeah, good play by him. He's also decided to go for an advantage of going for spearmen over the stable for DeMuslim as well. Is not only is he going to be able to defend a little bit easier against Hera's stable opening, but it also just costs less food than horsemen. And food is definitely the resource that he's going to be struggling with the most at the moment.
Here come the horsemen, though, from Hera, and, well, you asked me before this game, do I think the brace ability of the spearmen for the Holy Roman Empire now working appropriately in the January patch will come into play? Apparently that's going to be the case, because we already have some spearmen on the field, and we have the Ragnitz Cathedral coming in for the Muslim. Hera's resource bank isn't looking that spectacular, so he's going to be on the back foot when it comes to Castle Age timing. But he's got the map control with those horsemen, and all he needs to do is just intercept those prelates. He doesn't need to fight the spearmen directly, even though he's gonna kill one over there. So if he's able to pin the Muslim inside his base, having a slightly slower Castle Age isn't going to matter that much, and he's not messing around with stable number 3 coming in for him already.
Yep, really favoring that mobility and map control with those stables. It's working out well for him so far. I don't know if he killed any villagers, do you?
Nope.
Like, I know he's got very close.
He didn't kill a single one, I think. It's 27 for Hera. 27 on the other side as well. He might have killed one then because he made an extra scout. But he inflicted minimal damage when it comes to killing. Most of the stuff that he was doing is just idling them, as there is going to be another spearman going down. And now the prelate could be exposed as well. Prelate was supposed to try and heal the spearman, but that failed. You see, now he's healing up the scout, but this is exactly what Hera wants to do. He's slower to Castle Age than his opponent, but he's got the army right now to pin the Muslim inside his base. The Muslim with the stable up, but no units coming out of that just yet.
Yeah, it looks like the Muslim's on his way to those relics as well in the north and the south. And Hera should be aware of this. Looks like he's sending those scouts down towards that, or the horsemen down to that relic right now, but these horsemen are pretty low HP. That one spearman might actually be able to take them on with some good focus there. But yeah, it looks like the prelate's probably going to be just fine.
Yep, it's a little too late for Hera. Maybe if he just waits on top of the hill, he could have been more successful. That's gonna be 2 relics in the hands of the Muslim, but on the other hand, Hera is picking up relic number 1, and if he takes the one on the north, the last one should be rather easy for him to control because it's so close to his base. So it's gonna come down to this neutral relic up north here. Hera has no prelate moving in that direction though, so there's a chance for the Muslim to have the relic majority, despite the fact that he doesn't really have as much map control, didn't really have as much map control as Hera had. Now it's triple stables as well for him, so both sides going heavy on the knight department.
Yeah, looks like he's decided he doesn't want to invest into the veteran spearman upgrade. He doesn't want to have those immobile units that might limit his options a little bit when moving around the map and fighting for these sacred sites and relics and just trying to harass his opponent and stuff. Yeah, looks like 2 relics for both players. We'll see who gets the last one. It looks like DeMuslim's already sending a prelate out there on the north side of his base. And he might... Oh, no, that's a villager. Never mind.
Yep, that's a villager.
Oh, is he going to wall the relic or something?
I don't know. The villager is still far away from there. There is another villager coming in. I wonder...
Maybe just his rally point.
Yeah.
He was making he wanted to make a prelate, or he made one earlier and had the rally point there for the prelate and forgot to change it, maybe.
Yeah, that's very likely, because you would definitely set a rally point for your prelate, but that gives a chance for Hera to pick it up. He's going to lose a couple of cavalry units in the middle of the field, but for now, for him what matters is picking up that extra relic, because that's gonna be his first power spike. Notably, Hera has gotten professional scouts, and slow and steady wins the race. 2 scouts will ferry in deer slowly, which is also going to mean that he has to, or he will be able to delay his farm transition, unlike the Muslim. On the other hand, Hera's going for the sacred site instead of the relic, and that could backfire really badly, because those knights are coming in and that prelate seems like history.
Yep, looks like that prelate does get taken out. But the relic has been captured, and it is on the way home. DeMuslim does spot that, so he's going to be able to maybe pick off this monk. There are more knights available, but he's probably just going to sacrifice 1 knight to try and deny this relic for a bit.
Yep.
And yeah, monk does go down, but oh, that positioning against the cliff there doesn't quite lose it. Doesn't quite lose a unit yet. There we go, 1 knight going down, and I think it's a bit debatable whether that's worth it or not. Hera's still going to be able to get that relic pretty quickly. It's not like the income's going to be delayed by too much. And now the knight count is just a little bit lower for the Muslim.
Indeed, as you said, that relic is likely going to be captured by Hera, and basically you trade 1 knight to a prelate, and the prelate is actually cheaper than a knight, so as you said, it might not have been worth it. A couple of spearmen joined the party over here, only hardened upgrade, no veteran on them, but obviously being able to brace helps over here, and in general, they're able to help out against those knights, and that's a pretty good fight over here for the Muslim, if you ask me. With the spearman support, he's able to repel Hera's forces quite effectively. Or is he? Hera still has a ton here.
It's close. They're all pretty low HP. The reinforcements are closer for DeMuslim, but yeah, it looks like Hera manages to scrape by at the end there. And coming out with 5 knights.
And now that is massive, because not only does he have 3 relics over his opponent, who only has 2, he also has professional scouts, so he doesn't have to add farms. And look at the Muslim's food eco. It's non-existent. He's got 3 on food, 8 on wood, no villagers on gold. His eco has just now collapsed, and if you look at the resource income per minute, that's looking way better for Hera. And Hera shows no signs of slowing down. He's just now grabbing that 3rd relic, and he's going for stable number 5. You might be forced to make a lot of spearmen here if you are the Muslim, because you won't be able to match Hera's knight numbers.
Yeah, he does have the 2nd barracks down for that, but no veteran upgrade just yet. And yeah, that lack of food is really a big problem for him right now. He does have a market up. He can trade a little bit, but his wood line is exposed here, and Hera's in a great position to harass this, and just looking to be in a great position once again.
Hera once again coming in with the knights, as you said. Even trades are more than satisfactory here at this point for him. He detaches 1 knight to jump on lumberjacks, and at this point it seems like the Muslim is going to struggle to replenish his forces over here. Some spearmen hitting the field right now, but the knights of the Muslim getting forced back, and this 1 knight has been doing some work. Reinforcements moving in already from Hera. The Muslim is barely able to handle these few knights inside his eco, let alone the reinforcements, and those lumberjacks will be forced to run for their lives. The Muslim's eco is collapsing over here, and Hera is just going to keep sending in wave after wave of knights to grind down that economy. Hera might have just snogged the Muslim out of this tournament, and indeed that's the case. The Muslim taps out. Hera, very convincing 2-0 victory over here. Not necessarily what we expected, looking at this matchup.
Yeah, it was very well played from him. I mean, I think something we can point to in both these games that gave him a big advantage was just that the early second scout getting him all those extra sheep, and the theme of both these games was just DeMuslim was struggling for food, struggling to get resources all the time, and Hera really used that to his advantage very well.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that he could delay his farm transition helps so much because it gives him momentum early on, and there were